We knew heading into elite round action, there was plenty of history to be made this year in a historic platform for the Champions League. So many records to be broken, so many teams to make history, so many teams to make debuts. So which storylines survived a very, very difficult elite round for all teams involved? Well, let's take a look and set the stage. As you know, we had several debutants in the competition. We saw Ricardinho make a goal-scoring record for an individual in their career in the Champions League. We saw Kairat Almaty set the record for most Champions League appearances by any club, which is super exciting to see, in 20 total appearances. But was history kind to these guys, or did they favor the Titans? History did favor the Titans, as a matter of fact, and we saw for the first time ever a different kind of history that I don't think anyone particularly was in tune with before this elite round competition, and that was the fact that all 4 semifinalists are existing Champions League champions. That's right. So what does this mean? Well, since the contest was reworked in 2006-2007 season, we have not seen a semifinal that was full of past champions. Amazing to believe, considering the heavy weight towards certain countries in the region that are particularly involved in futsal and have very established leagues. All this time, we finally saw it. So who are these 4 teams? Who are these 4 Titans? You guys might not be surprised at all, but it starts with Sporting CP. The Lisbon side breezed through the elite round. They didn't seem to have any kind of scares or blips on the radar. They went completely undefeated, including a convincing win against RSC Anderlecht 4-1 in their final match. This is setting them up for a record 4th straight semifinal appearance, and it is also their record 10th appearance in the semifinals contest. They share, surprisingly, those records, though, with some other teams that we'll talk about later, so keep an eye out for that as we continue through the video. They are going to be looking to add a 3rd trophy to their cabinet. They have 2 already, looking for that 3rd one, make it a trifecta. But along the way, they are breaking all kinds of records, and rightfully so. This club is primarily national team players from Portugal. We see some other international players from other countries, but when you think about what the Portuguese national team has done in the last several years, you have them winning the World Cup, winning the Finalissima, winning the Euro. There's really no stopping these guys right now, and so to see the majority of them on Sporting CP, it should not be a surprise that these guys are seeing domestic and regional success as well. Now, here's the big catch. When you think about past champions and past dynasties in UEFA, Inter Movistar is certainly a team that comes to mind. Certainly not where they'd like to be currently in the last few years, but holds a lot of records, holds a lot of memories from Ricardinho's younger years when he was really just setting the futsal world ablaze, and those records are starting to be erased from the history books. Sporting CP surpassed Inter Movistar in goals in the contest, as well as wins in the contest during this elite round, so they will be looking to create their own history moving forward. Another team looking to chase history is previous champions Benfica. Benfica last won the Champions League in 2010. Unfortunately for them, they have not made it to a finals appearance since then, but have been in several semifinals, which means, yeah, here's where we are, guys, with that same shared record with Sporting CP. 4 straight appearances into a semifinal for Benfica. They hold that record with Sporting CP, so their countrymen will be looking to move on this and catch up with Sporting CP. Can they add a 2nd trophy to match Sporting's trophy cabinet? Only time will tell, but they certainly have some stiff competition. They have made 7 appearances in the last 20 years to the Champions League, so they are no strangers to this contest. It's a well-established club. What's interesting is they had a very tough road through the elite round. None of the games were runaway games. They were close games, but they won every single one of them and didn't have a single blemish during the group stage. Can they match their rivals over in Sporting CP? Curious to see what happens here in this semifinal. Can they break that curse of the last 4 years of not being able to make it out of that semifinal round? Especially considering how close they were against Palma. You know, scoring a goal last year, this past May, I guess I should say, that was at the buzzer. and they just couldn't cross that line fast enough from a kick-in volley. Hopefully they can make something of it this year. They were always in this contest. To say that they aren't making it to that final is not doing them justice for the level of play that they are showing us on the court. So keep an eye out for them. Someone else that's going to be in the contest is someone that is no stranger to the winner's stage, and that is Barcelona. Barcelona looking for redemption after they were bounced out of the elite round last year by RSCA Anderlecht. A tie on the final game last year saw Anderlecht go through on goal differential, which means Barcelona was shockingly bounced out of the group. Anderlecht moved on. But this year, history almost repeated itself. In the very first match against City Diaboli, the Italian champions, they tied, looking to set up the same heartache as the year before in a contest that requires little to no mistakes by winners. Otherwise, it could completely ruin your campaign. Guys, remember, there's only 3 games to decide who moves on to the semifinal during these group stages, so every win, every point counts, and it sure enough came down to the final day when Barcelona faced Riga Futsal Club, where Ricardinho is currently playing, and it was an absolute grind and a fantastic match. Riga only needed a tie to advance. A win, of course, making them even more comfortable. Barcelona must-win situation for them. They were able to grind it out and win this match. They share the record with Sporting CP of 10 appearances since this format has began in 06-07. Only 2 clubs that have a total of 10 appearances. And Barcelona, with the exception of last year, those appearances have been straight through. So last year, when they didn't make it to the elite round, it was their first failure in making it to the semifinals in 10 years. They're finally back after a long year for them, I'm sure, of waiting for this redemption. They are also chasing history. Sure, they've got 4 trophies in the cabinet. Sure, they have the most trophies of any of the participating teams currently. But again, Inter Movistar and their history is looking to be erased. Did Barcelona tie the club record for most Champions League wins, which is Inter with 5. So looking to beat their rivals from inside the country of Spain on the regional stage. All right, guys, I know. At this point in the video, if you've made it this far, this is a long one covering a lot of information. You're going to notice some inconsistencies for the last part of this video. Hair looks a little different, a little shaved up, a little different shirt under the jacket. Listen, having some OBS issues with this video, okay? I have recorded this final section of the video now 3 times. Gonna have to deal with it with me, okay? We're powering through together, so here we go. The last team we want to cover is Mallorca de Palma Futsal. Hey, Palma Futsal still is the only team on the island with a championship of any kind. Congratulations to them, of course, on the UEFA Champions League win last season in May of this past year. Now they're looking to go back-to-back. They go into the elite round looking to defend that title and make a return. By the way, we've talked this whole video about comparisons to Inter Movistar before these current Titans started to take over the futsal scene, and no one has gone back-to-back since Inter Movistar did in the 16-17 season, and then, of course, 17-18 season back-to-back. So it's been several years since we've seen that kind of action. When you're on the top, it's always tough to stay on top. It is always tough because everyone wants to knock you off that pedestal. This was a tough elite round for Palma. They had 1 runaway game in their very last game of the round, but everything else was a grind, including their main round draws. So these guys have been tested and pressed hard in their defensive run of the Champions League title. So congratulations to Palma on their efforts so far. They make it into the semifinal round for only the 2nd time, and then, of course, 2nd time in history back-to-back. So great news for them. They are going to have to face a Titan from their own country, as well as 2 Titans from Portugal. And the cards are stacked very heavily against the champions with the talent that is here. They're also a much different look to the team than they had last year. A lot of departures from the team last year after that title victory in the Champions League, but they've also brought in some fantastic quality to replace a lot of those players. They are really not missing a step and staying in the mix in their domestic fixtures, as well as, of course, keeping up here in the Champions League, where talent can really push hard on you and try and knock you out of a tournament and really turn you into a headline at your own expense. So Palma doing a great job. Can they go back-to-back in the round is the big question. Can Sporting make the most of history and collect that third title? Or can Benfica match their partners from Portugal, their rivals from Portugal, in the trophy count in the old glass case? Or does Barcelona match history with Inter Movistar with their 5th championship in history? So many storylines still, even with the Titans left in play, and we won't find out till the beginning of May, that first week of May 2024. Keep an eye out, guys. There is still the draw to decide who faces who in that semifinal match. We also are waiting to hear who is going to host this thing. You know, we've got this thing narrowed down to 2 countries that are side by side. So I'm curious to see who hosts this. There's a lot of great countries out there that should be hosts. Of course, Spain and Portugal should be considered, considering the geography of the contest, and hopefully UEFA considers that as well as for the travel costs for these teams. But there's also some other really great countries in Europe that are just flying through futsal right now. So interesting to see who they choose. Do they take a neutral site, or they send it home to one of these either Portuguese or Spanish sides? What do you guys think is going to happen before the draw, and who do you have making it all the way? Sound off in the comments below and let us know. I want to hear from you guys. And until I hear from you then, don't forget to play with your soul.